Hi everyone, welcome to GilbHub TV. Today we are going to talk about something massively exciting, proofreading. Proofreading is not my favourite part of the copywriting process by a long shot. There are some people who probably love it, but for me personally it's not really the creative bit, it's the bit where you stare at a screen until your eyes go cross-eyed and you try and spot spelling mistakes. So proofreading is unfortunately a necessary evil for copywriters, for anyone who is putting material out there into the world. So to make your proofreading process a little bit more painless, I thought I would share with you my quick 3-step process, and it looks like this. So the first step is to do a quick read through. And I'm going to give you an example with a little piece from GilbHub, from one of my blogs on my website. This is one of my most popular posts called DIY Business Cards. I'm just going to read you the opening part in the way that I would if I was proofreading it myself and I was doing my quick read section. Like a lot of freelancers, when I started out, my marketing budget was very small. I was keen to get out into the world and spread the word about what I do, but I didn't have the cash to buy hundreds of business cards. So I made some. So I'm reading that with quite a lot of expression in my voice, and the reason for that is that I'm trying to see how it's going to come across when someone reads it for the first time. And by doing it with expression and kind of reading it aloud, it allows me to spot where there might be any mistakes in the tone or the flow of the piece. So it's kind of like trying to read it as the reader will read it for the first time. Even if they read it in their head, not out loud, you want there to be that pace and flow. So doing it in that kind of voiceover-y kind of way helps you to trip yourself up if you've missed out any pauses or put too many pauses in. So the next step is the slow read, and I'm pretty sure you're going to mock me for this because I'm not going to sound terribly bright when I do it, but I promise it works. So the slow read is basically reading through the same section again, but you read it like you're a robot and you're trying to take out any kind of expression or natural flow. So it's the complete opposite of what we just did. And I'll show you for why. So what did that say? I love Paris in the springtime? Or did it say I love Paris in the springtime? So that illustrates the point of the slow read, okay? And now I'm going to show you an example of the slow read with that same piece from my blog article. Like a lot of freelancers, when I started out, my marketing budget was very small. I was keen to get out into the world and spread the word about what I do, but I didn't have the cash to buy hundreds of business cards, so I made some. So you get what I mean, right? It sounds kind of robotic and inhuman, but it's the same principle as Paris in the springtime. When you're reading fast, your brain will skip through things and it will make sense of what's on the page, even if what's on the page doesn't actually make sense. So that's why we do the slow read, so that you can pick up on any of those little mistakes that you probably wouldn't have got the first time when you were doing the quick read. So the third step is something that may not apply to everyone, but it's something that I have noticed with my own word processor that I use to do most of my work. Now I write in English and I write in UK English specifically, and that's something that's quite easy to get wrong when you mix it with US English. Now my word processor is a US published program, so whenever I do updates, sometimes I've noticed that it will revert back to a default of US. And obviously it's not so easy to spot that because it will only underline the odd word here and there if it differs from the UK spelling, whereas most of it will be exactly the same. So step 3 for me is to highlight everything in one go and then just go to language and make sure that it is set to UK English. And if it is set to US, then I always make sure to default it back to UK. And if there's any doubt at all, if you want to go really paranoid and double check, you can test it with words like favourite and colour, which are spelt differently between UK and US. There are also a lot of Z's in the US English, whereas UK doesn't really have so many. So that's a good way of testing it as well. So as I said, that last step was a kind of optional one. this is the solid number 3 step coming up. So if you only do 3, you have to do this one. And this is Control F or Command F if you are on an Apple computer. And using Control F or Command F is when you hold down Control or Command and you press F at the same time, and it allows you to search within your document for specific words. And I use this for words that I know I'm likely to get wrong. And pretty much everyone has these words, these little niggling ones that you always get wrong and you always misspell, or you always get confused with a similar spelling. And even people who do it professionally have these kinds of weaknesses. So I always double check with Control F or Command F to look through my document and make sure that I have caught any of those words. And I have to say, as I've been doing this more and more professionally, I have to say the times that I find a misspelt word have drastically decreased from when I started. I barely ever find anything these days, but I still prefer to double check it just to make sure. So words you might want to check for are things like its and its. That's IT''s or ITS. Your, which could be spelt Y-O-U-R or Y-O-U''re. There, and there is another good one. Weather and weather, as in clouds in the sky, or 2 options to choose from. So there's things like this which are quite often misspelt. They're very commonly misspelt. So use Control F or Command F to just search through, type in its, and then just hit enter, and make sure that all of the itses that you've got are the correct ones. So that's my 3-step process for painless proofreading. I hope it's been helpful. I hope it's taken some of the slog out of editing and proofreading your documents. If you have any tips like this, please let me know. I would love to hear them. You can either leave a comment below, or you can visit me on Twitter at @HannahGilb, or on my website, which is www.gilbhub.com. Thanks for watching.